Hey everybody, we're back out at the football fields taking some soil samples, as you can see behind me, and we'll send those in for testing. And while we're out here, we will do a soil temperature test to see how close we are to that 50 to 55 degree mark. So let's get to it. So instead of doing the soil test myself, I decided to go with some experts. So I contacted Montana Farm Science and Matt Moffet to come out and do our soil testing for us.
So here we got our soil probe. So here you can see the window where the soil comes in and out. And so we're trying to aim for about a foot. So the window here is actually right about the 14-inch mark. So I'm just going to punch it down, give it a little twist, and pull it up. So now here's the close-up part of the soil sample here. So your grass and your root zone is all the way up at the top. So if we're doing like a soil sample 0 to 6 inches, we don't want this plant material up at the top in the sample. So we'll get rid of that. And here you can see some of the grass bunched up a little bit and try to get it clear. So our 0 to 6 inch zone is really starting up in here and coming down. But really what we're trying to get is we're trying to get that sort of bottom 3 inches of the soil sample in there. And I may take a little bit more coming down. The only difference it's going to be is this is going to be basically a scale of less and less nutrients as you're going down. And it just depends upon the water solubility of the different nutrients. Some don't have much movement in the soil and some do. So this portion here is going to be the 0 to 6 inch sample. So I may save it off to the side as the 0 to 6. And depending on how wet the soil is, might be really dependent on how much of the sample you get. Now again, so we got our 0 to 6 inch sample, and right down here is I want to know what's down in the main zone, which is basically being depleted. So again, I'm not going to take this zone because I want to get a good differentiation between the 0 to 6 inch sample and the 6 to 12 inch sample. So this one I won't take either. I'll just kick that one out. And then now when we come into the bottom, I'll take this as my lower sample. So that way we get a pretty good representation and we're in two distinct zones and the samples aren't skewed by getting plant material like roots or leaves in the sample. Samples, and so we have our shorter depth and our larger depth. Now usually like in a farm field, this would be the 0 to 6 inches, which would be your topsoil. And then this one would be like 6 to 24 inches, which is your deeper layer. Still within the root zone. So they still get nutrients and stuff. But with turf grass, doesn't really push down a couple of feet deep. So with the turf grass, it's going to be 0 to 6 and 6 to 12 inches. And so when the samples come out, we just got our cores, and we can see now that being March, there's lots of moisture, and I can also test it to see how much clay is in there. Which there's quite a bit of clay because it's giving you a ribbon as you're basically folding over the soil. But so now we got our 10 samples here, and I'm just going to take them and I'm going to break them up, and I'm going to mix up the soil. And then if I see any grass that's in there, or even any roots, I'll try to pull them out because the plant material will have such a much higher nitrogen ratio. So like here's some root off some of the grass. I'm just going to pull that out so it doesn't skew skew it very much. It's going to break it up so we can mix it up and get a really good representation of what's out there. And then we'll be able to, decide and make some decisions. But now that we got our broken up 0 to 6 inch sample, that's this one, right? Yep. Now we can just basically take some to make sure. Here, I'm going to hold this bag in case I spill some. Take enough to send to the lab, and then let them tell me exactly how much. So even in like these little bags, you only really need about 10 core samples worth to get a really good soil sample.
So as you can see, we're at about 41 degrees, and that's really interesting. I actually got the thermostat from Amazon about 4 days ago. Tested it in my own yard and we were at 48. But it definitely took a cold spell here on us. It's pretty chilly. It's low 40s today. And we had a ½ an inch of rain shower last night. So that's obviously brought things back down. So not quite as close as I was anticipating. So again, I want to thank Matt with Montana Farm Service for coming out and doing our test for us. It's been about a week now. I know he's received the results. He called me yesterday, and we're going to schedule a time to meet first thing next week to go over those. Couple things we did learn, just preliminary, is our soils are very consistent from field to field and from one end to the other. I think some of that is maybe grass types, or again just the where kids are practicing. And then the second thing we learned is that just on a quick glance, we do have very good soil for growing grass. You could tell there's been some care there in the past. So we have a really good foundation to build from. So we are going to get some fertilizers ordered. I've decided not to do the pre-emergent, and we are going to leave ourselves a window to overseed if we need it. Looking at the fields, they don't look like they have a lot of weeds. Currently, they didn't have a lot of weeds, as I recall, last year. So we will just hit those as they come. And so we will look at our soil test a little bit next one, and get into getting our fields fertilized and ready to go. And we are 2/3 of our way of our fundraising goal to get our new mower, which is a new, very used mower, but it'll be new to us, and make this whole thing possible. So thank you for watching. I know this is maybe a little drier than what you're looking for, but the grass will be getting greener here pretty soon, and we'll be able to start getting out and mowing. So hope to see you in the next video. Thank you, and don't forget to click that you like it and subscribe if you would, and I would love to see you guys join me on this journey. Have a good day.